Selamat welcome! Today we'll be playing against the boogeyman of the format herself, Enigma, and her blocking capabilities with wards, defense reactions, and good timely instant auras are there to ruin our day as a rushdown player, and see if Aurora has enough damage to compete with the scariest deck right now that we need to have a plan to go into. So without further ado, let's go right into the gameplay. Okay, today we're up against the boogeyman of the meta herself, Enigma. She's the litmus test of the meta. She's the damage check that you need to pass if you want your deck to be able to succeed in this meta. So Aurora has a ton of damage, but let's see if we can push through her ward. We want to go second. And for the equipment suite, we want Crown of Providence, Tunic, since we're going to be playing a long game. And we want to board in our combo package, since we want to push through her defensive capabilities. And since we're not on Face Purgatory, we can safely cut our Electrifies. Yeah. There's a consideration for you to cut Burn Up Shock, but it's still a very good card. You can use it just for the shock mode when their shields are down to kill one of their important wards, such as Miragai, that they usually tap out for. So yeah, and let's hit submit. This hand's okay, because with Arc Lightning, you don't need to have your whatchamacallit embodiment of lightning to get your go again, and we can go Art Lightning into Arcanic, fusing this into Entwine, fusing this, and then either arsenaling this or pushing an extra 4 damage. That's assuming they don't strip our hand at all. If they do, that's also fine. We're inclined to keep our Arc Lightning and our Arcanic Shockwave, because it's not only a breakpoint, it also pings for 1 arcane. Them being able to just like transcend here is a nuisance, but thankfully they're not creating spectral shields. Instead, they're just gonna send a big attack, which thankfully we have the block for, because usually we don't. In this case, it's a clean 7 with this. We want to keep Arc Lightning the most, again, because it provides us the go again that we need to have a extended turn without requiring us to have an embodiment in play, which is one of the best ways to start off the game. Okay, they're not setting up any ward whatsoever. You can see that they're on the Calming Gesture hand equipment. This is the new equipment piece that's in the expansion slot. It has EB1, and they can instant speed create a spectral shield. I've gotten got before by a Miragai attacking, pitching a blue, so they have 2 resources left, they have 1 card in hand. They used 1 to create a spectral shield on instant speed, and then now with the spectral shield in play, they can play their astral etchings at instant speed, buffing the Miragai with +3/+1 counters. So it's a overall buff from an 8 attack to a 14 attack, so be aware of that trick. What we're going to do this turn is we're going to Arc Lightning, and then we're going to Sizzle, Weapon, pitching Sigil, and then create an embodiment and arsenal our burn up. It's not the most damage since we don't have an attack in this hand, but thankfully Sizzle works with your weapon, which is one of the reasons I included over Weave. Imagine if we had Weave Lightning here, it would suck quite a bit. Oh, yeah, sorry, we don't need to pitch for Sizzle first. It's Starfall that we need the pitch for. They're keeping their whole hand, which is kind of scary, to be honest. But yeah, this is just our setup turn. We're not doing a ton of damage. Only 1, 2, 5, 1, so 8. 3 card 8, create an embodiment and arsenal burn up. Not the best, but it's good enough. The arcane pings are kind of annoying to deal with, especially if you go below 3 or above 3. It means they're not getting max value from their blues. Okay, this hand's decent. Okay, manifestations, that's fine. It's usually the follow-up after this, which is scary. They have a lot of the disruptive 2 for 6 attacks. For example, if the arsenal is something like a weakest link, they can like pitch the other, after attacking with spectral shield, they can pitch the other card. Even if it's a red, they can send the weakest link at us, and we have 3 instants in hand, so kinda sus. It's a CNC. Thankfully, CNC is something that we can dodge with Crown. If it were a weakest link, we could not do that, because we have 3 instants, so we can't dip all 3. So we're going to tuck our burn up. This is the reason I carry Crown of Providence. Okay, we're taking 4, just fine. This just means our damage is not as high as we want it to be. We have the option of arsenaling either any of these 3 instants. I'm more inclined to use the somersault here, so we have 2 attacks during this turn. So we can arsenal either our ESD or our lightning press, and we're just going to use this for weapon plus embodiment. I usually like press a little bit more because it helps us push through their blocks and wards that they usually calculate will be enough beforehand, and some of their instant speed shenanigans if they don't have counters on board, like the Restless Coalesce that only blocks an additional 2. So what we're going to do here is we're going to Flittering Charge, and then we're going to EMS it during the reactions, and then we're going to Weapon, ESD into Flittering Charge again for 7. After that, create an embodiment, and we can arsenal our Lightning Press. This means we're pushing 11, creating an embodiment, and we're arsenaling a push through for our next turn. It's important to keep pressure against Enigma. You never want to let your foot off of the gas, because if you do, they're going to have a board establish enough defense that it's going to be hard for you to actually close out the game. Like, she might look like a fragile little lady, but she's anything but. She's one of the tankiest heroes in the game right now, thanks to all her wards protecting her and instant speed defense reactions to block out breakpoints. They're keeping their whole hand here. Oh no, they're blocking with 1 card. Usually when they keep a lot of cards, it usually means that they have a way to transcend and miragai, which is scary. Okay, we dealt a bit of damage. They're keeping 3 cards, so with Tunic up, that can mean like create a spectral shield, hit with spectral shield, and a big attack, which we do not like. Oh, this hand's pretty nice. Yeah, with Tunic up, they can still send like a 2 for 6 after this 4. So we usually just eat their vanilla like ward attacks all the time, which is kind of dangerous because if you keep eating damage, you eventually will need to block. Thankfully, this is only a Restless Coalesce instead of something like Weakest Link, CNC, or Erase Face. Since if they Erase Face, we won't have the ability to like Starfall. Okay, they're attacking with their this thing, which is fine. They're pushing a lot of damage. Since they have a ton of ward, I kinda don't wanna... Ooh, their attack with Spectral Shield is free. Thanks to their Cosmo's first ability, which the first attack with your Spectral Shield cost 1 less. Oh no, that's her hero ability, yeah. So I don't know if I want to use Burn Up, but I guess I will. So this is going to eat up their Spectral Shield most likely. Next up is we're going to E-Strike. We're going to dip the Sizzle, I think. But if we draw another blue, then that's gonna suck. Let's check. We have Tunic up, so we can actually like Sizzle, use Tunic for weapon. And that will work because we already played a lightning card in Burn Up Shock. So in case we draw another blue, I think it's better to bottom the blue. Almost always choose draw a card with E-Strike. That's the best mode. Most value. Especially if you're drawing a bunch of like 0 for 4s. Just means that your E-Strike is a 2-card 9. Again, since, yeah, keeping Sizzle into the weapon just means you're pushing the most damage. Let's see if and how they block here, because they already have 5 ward on board right now. This is why some lists run like Exude Confidence, because it allows them to circumvent D-reacts and like instant speed auras, which means you're very good against Enigma if you run the Exude Confidence in your sideboard. But the knock against it is it's a generic, so it doesn't turn on your lightning shenanigans. So if you want to swap it in, usually swap it with either a generic or an elemental. If you want to swap it with lightning, just make sure that you're staying above like 39 lightning count. Yeah, 39 or above, because you don't want to go too low, because when you do, that's when they get you. You get the hands that you can't Starfall and hero ability just because you don't have a lightning stuff to send. Okay, let's see if they have a D-react here. If they have a D-react, they can stop the E-Strike from hitting, which means that they're saving an extra 4 life from Burn Up Shock. But if they spend a D-react here, we send a 5 power Sizzle here and a Gone in Flash there. They need to pair it up. Okay, they're just letting it go, which makes me kind of wanna Arsenal this Gone in a Flash. Yep, that usually means they drew their Miragai. And for Miragai turns, you really want to have enough offense to threaten the Miragai. If you don't kill it, at least you need to be able to like strip their hand. Because if you don't, oh boy, they can just like pitch the 1 card that they kept and swing at you for 8. You're gonna lose out so much value from that. This hand's not very great. I mean, we can burn up Current Funnel, Gone in a Flash, Starfall, Static Shock. Hopefully that's enough. Yep, you always eat Miragai. It's basically 8 unblockable. If you ever like try to cover up Miragai damage and you're not sending your entire hand back, you're just gonna lose out so much tempo, because you don't kill it, then they're gonna threaten another 8 on the next turn. So yeah, we're forced to eat the damage here. Yeah, current funnel, if we weapon... yeah, using current funnel for its own text here is kind of relevant, because usually a blue is like the same as current funnel, right? It's 2 damage and giving the next thing go again, which is the same. Starfall is 2 damage and your hero ability gives the next thing go again. But current funnel here is actually relevant because we want to both use current funnel to do 2 damage and give our GF go again, and then we can still swing a weapon by pitching a static shock. Meanwhile, if we just use this for pitch, we won't have enough go again. Like, we can burn up, give one of these go again, and then send with this, and then we're stranded with 1 card. And against Miragai, you want to convert every single card into offense. So let's start off with burn up, which is one of the best ways to start a turn, because usually that's your only arcane damage for the turn. So if they AB it, I mean, they're spending a whole card to prevent 1. But if they don't AB, I mean, we're eating this Spectral Shield with 3 counters on it. Okay, 1 less card for them to defend the Miragai with. So we're gonna start off with current funnel. Yeah, if this was a blue, we could like convert it into like a grasp into Starfall. But it's red without go again, so we just have to live with it. We're still dealing 2, 4, 2, 4, which is another 12. Yeah, hold the line. Again, Enigma and D reacts. If your list runs Exude Confidence, this matchup gets a lot better, because when you don't, matchups actually kind of close, kind of scary. At the very least, what we want to do is strip every single card from their hand so they don't have to pitch to play Miragai. I think they're letting the Miragai go unless they have a D-react. That's sort of a D-react if they like activate shoes. Yeah, blocking for 5. Like 1 Spectral Shield ward and 3 Meridian ward, and drop in the ocean, dropping this to a 3 power. Super duper relevant. So we're only eating the shoes here. Starfall comes in for 2 because we already played a lightning card. Well, they're really giving everything to try and keep this Miragai. Okay, lastly, an attack for 4, and we pray they don't have a like Fate Foreseen or Sink Blow from the arsenal. Because if we eat the card in hand and the Spectral Shield, they do get to keep the Miragai, but they don't get to swing with it, which is very important because we're at a precariously low life total right now. Okay, I think they're letting the Miragai go, so they're probably going to attack with Spectral Shield for 4. Oh no, it is a thing that can cover up for the Miragai. We're in a world of hurt. We got through all their equipment, and we destroyed a bunch of fort that was not Miragai, but we did not get there. So this is like the key to the matchup. Need to keep having pressure. So if you have blues, be sure to create your embodiments, so when you draw hands that don't naturally have go again, you can still push with all 4 cards. For example, if we were able to play the static shock for itself, then we would have a lot more value. Oh, they let the Miragai go. They're opting to keep 4 and 4, which is basically the same as a Miragai. And they're split over 2 bodies, which is easier to like, you can like give up one and not the other, so you're only losing half the value, which kind of makes sense. But yeah, if we were able to play this instead of like pitch it to Starfall, that's going to be 2 more damage, which means we're taking the extra card, or we're clearing an extra Waxing Spectre there. Now we... Okay. This hand's not the best. I mean, this can clear their... Okay, yeah, we want to start using our armor, especially grasp, since you need to use it over multiple turns. Just save a bit of life, try to push damage. Oh, so painful. 1 card 8 with an extra 3 block staple to it. Okay, rabble, pray that it's red. This is the risk that you still run into when you're running 12 blues. You sometimes still draw the 2 blue hands. Yeah, things are not looking good for our hero right now. We did not see a single CLV. We saw multiple burn-ups when they were able to present defense from their arsenal, which means it didn't connect. This card was basically a 1 card 1. Value-wise, we did not get the 4 value, and we only saw 1 press. Okay, are they letting their spectral shield go? Okay, what we want to do is probably blast, create embodiment, arsenal this. Sad because we don't have go again here, and we're gonna get attacked for 4 again next turn. They're keeping their hand. They're probably gonna like create a spectral and then send a 2 for 6. That's usually the current Enigma game plan. Get to keep this. Now we have a hand with 3 instants. That's not good for defending ourselves. Vanilla damage, we always take. If they take our Giaf, if we're forced to block with this, we literally don't have any way to defend ourselves, to attack with. And yeah, I guess there's no way we're winning from this point unless they take the starfall damage, and they're a deck with a ton of reactions, so even if when we do this they don't block, they still get a chance to react, and we don't draw. We need to draw like, yep, okay, we just play this out and arsenal. Yeah, drawing multiple instants that we needed to see early late game when we need cards to block is sad. They're gonna swing for 6. I mean, we can block 4. Take 2 to 1. It's gonna be very hard for us to catch up from this point. We need to pray really hard for our snatch to like give us something good, and we need them to not have a 4 value react here, because we are going to press this. If they like block with a card, they're like, okay, this covers it up with the Rage Spectre. We do this, and we need to pray they don't have a way to cover up the 3 value, because if they do, oh, that's only 2 though, unless they create a spectral shield with calming gesture. This is still coming in for 1. 3 plus 2 plus 1. That's a 6 total. So they need to like pitch a card to calming gesture. Wait, doesn't have a counter. Oh, they have 2 restless coalesce. That's fine. We can pitch to Starfall, eat another card from their hand. They have 1 card they can just swing for 6. We're going to need to commit 2 cards at least, but more likely 3 cards. And yeah, they just had the instant speed defense. Like if we drew 2 cards, we were going to be ahead by a lot. We can like bounce their Rage Spectre. We're going to block with all 3. And we're going to play Somersault, so it's like we blocked with 2 cards. We're going to keep Entwine plus Blast. because that is a guaranteed 2-card 8. Instead, if we keep Rabble, there's a chance that our top deck is a yellow or a blue. Okay, we just need to keep mounting offensive pressure, get a little bit lucky, and we can hopefully close this out. There's a world where we catch up here. So yeah, overall the matchup is kind of scary if you don't run Exude. So if you're expecting a lot of Enigma in your local area for your pro quest, be sure to bring it in, swap in your sideboard a little bit, rearrange it so you can fit like at least 2 Exudes. So if you attack with Exude as your first chain link, get the Gogan from Embodiment, or if you have like a Blink or something, then they cannot easily de-react you out. Them keeping 3 cards is scary. Again, we can block for 6. Thanks to our EMS, we get to get our 2 cards back. Never choose your opponent's cards. You never want them to have it back, at least with a existing card pool. Maybe with there will be cards in the future that are detrimental if you return it to hand, but as of right now, there's not many. They can just take this damage and keep a 5-card hand, and we're already struggling just to block out a 6-power attack. It's gonna be unlikely for us to... Okay, cool, we get to play that out. Yeah, it's unlikely that we're going to be able to block everything out. Tail Transcending usually smells Miragai. Use one of the cheese to cast, use one of the cheese to either hero ability or use it to pitch. There's no way we're surviving this. Go again. 3 modes. 2 modes because only 2 blues. But yeah, go again, draw card 3 into like 4 or 5, and then this is only 1. So 3, 2, 8. That's 13. We do not have 13 defense value. This is one of the better blocking hands. We have a bunch of 3 blocks, but it's not enough versus Miragai. And even if we do survive, we can only send our second strike. They can easily block out with 1 card, and we won't have... Hey, we can block the Miragai out, and we die to the Spectral Shield. So yeah, people thinking from the outside in, if you've never actually played the matchup, it looks very, very Aurora favored. Oh yeah, she has all the breakpoints. She has crazy damage. Well, her crazy damage, people tend to forget, is due to her on hits. You need your burn ups to hit for extra damage. You need CLV to draw you extra cards. You need Snatch to hit to give you an extra card, and those extra cards and those extra 4 points of value is where her damage comes from. And for Enigma, a deck who's able to constantly block you out every type of damage, because some blocking heroes like Florian, for example, might struggle to deal with your arcane pings because it's not efficient for them to spend 1 whole card to just prevent the 1 arcane shock. But for Enigma, when she has spectral shields lying around, she has ward 1 here and there, it's easy for her to, okay, I'll let my spectral shield die. No damage is dealt. That means your CLV does not trigger. So this matchup's kind of tricky. I feel like personally it's kind of a 50-50. If they draw Disruption back to back into Miragai and you stumble a little bit, you draw hands that has no attacks or attacks without go again too many times in a row. You stumble, they establish a board, and you can't push through. And when you can't push through, that's when all of your like premium cards in Snatch, CLV, and Burn Up Shock goes to die. Basically, they lose a lot of their luster and value. So it's very important to play not only just pushing damage every turn, but being mindful, creating embodiments when you can, arsenaling cards when you can, when they already let their ward for the turn go, arsenaling a card, setting up for a better next turn, because when they're letting their board go, usually that means they can establish a new board with their hands, and you need to be able to deal with that new board with the attacks that you have for next turn. So arsenaling cards, creating embodiment, recycling your Gone in a Flash is quite important. This game, our hands never really lined up where we could like do Gone in a Flash and bounce it back, you coupling it with instant. In the early game we drew a bunch of just like attacks, and in the late game we drew hand with just a bunch of instants that never really came together. I probably misplayed a little bit here and there as well, but yeah, overall, if you feel like the Enigma in your local area is very proficient, very good players, you might want to bring in that help in the Exude Confidence. If you don't know what Exude Confidence is, I'll put it here in the screen so you can see it. It's basically a 0/4 generic attack that blocks 2, and it has the very important text that when it's not defended by a card with higher power than Exude, so something with 5+ power is not blocking Exude, the opponent cannot activate instants or defense reactions for this combat. So you use it as your first combat chain, and then you're free to go. Their D-reacts are off, their instants are off, unless they have like a 5, 6, 7 power attack to block out the Exude with. But even then, Exude has this second ability where you can pay 3 and give it +2. And also, we're a lightning deck, we have lightning press. Before we go to the reactions phase, so still during the block phase, after they've blocked, play the lightning press then, and not when you enter reactions, because if you play it in reactions, the opponent can respond to it by playing their defense reactions. So yeah, overall, it's a pretty tight matchup. It's kind of tricky. Be sure to get in a lot of practice this meta, because you're gonna see a lot of her. And that's it for today's video. Be sure to like and subscribe. That is the best free way you can support me creating more free Flesh and Blood content in your YouTube video feed. And as always, sampai goodbye.